Kane is in the building.
Episode 2. Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome to episode number 2 of the Get Lifted podcast. I'm here with my co-host again, Josh Topel.
Howdy.
How are you doing today, Josh?
Doing good. Today's a good day. Start of the week. We'll see how the week goes.
Are you lying? I feel like we both had pretty tough days.
You talk about your tough day. I think I'll save my tough day for a rainy day.
Okay. I think it makes sense to talk about it. So, part of running your own business, especially, there's always going to be problems that need to be solved, no matter how young or old a business is, but especially in the beginning, there's a lot more. And today was just one of those days, man. We're behind on taking inventory of, or receiving inventory of our supplements.
Yeah.
So we have wholesale orders that we haven't been able to fill, and also pushing our retail launch date back, which is very frustrating. And the only reason why that's happening though is because we were supposed to be in this warehouse over 2 months ago. And I just really got in the last few weeks. And so they were ready to start delivering. And so basically the way it would work, we were in the queue for our supplements to be ran, okay? Mm-hmm. And because I said, hey, we're not ready to take them, they pushed me back in the queue, and then other people are ahead of us.
Getting lapped.
Exactly. So now their orders are being created and filled, and ours got delayed. So going back and forth right now.
Set you back a long time.
Yeah, we should be live, and we're not.
Yeah, that's tough.
We should have been live over a month ago. But
ups and downs.
Here's a little lesson to learn, and I'm not going to go too long on this because it's not what we're talking about today. But this is just the nature of the game.
Yeah.
You run into problems. Owning your own business, you need to become a professional problem solver. And I got pissed today. I got really fucking pissed today. But you can't let it set you back, as far as mentally. It did set us back as far as our timeline. But you just got to make the most of it, try to figure it out, keep pushing forward. And then because we got pushed back doesn't mean we're going to half-ass the launch now. We still have to do things right. We still have to build the campaign out right. We're signing some ambassadors right now. We're going to do photo shoots. Like, everything will still need to be done exactly the way things were going to be done if things were on the right timeline. Yeah. So we're just not, we're not going to take shortcuts now. So if that means things get pushed back a little bit, then that means they get pushed back.
Gives you more time to get things right on every other track or thread where you got things working, whether it be your marketing promotions, whether it be getting your messaging right, your website. Yeah. That's the way
That's a positive way to look at it. So I was pissed, but I'm a little bit more calmed down now. It's like 6 o'clock. When you walked in a couple hours ago, I was pretty fired up.
Plus, today we're talking about a very particularly favorite topic of mine that we've talked about before. And I think today is going to get a lot deeper than we've ever talked about. And I know we both have views that go in the opposite direction. But I think we have overlap beyond the opposite surface level.
So the topic is, should you go to college? And we have, like you just said, very different opinions. Before we start talking about today's topic though, I need to do a little bit of the intro. If you guys would rather watch this instead of listen to it, you can go to my YouTube channel, just search Brenton Ross. There's a playlist there for the Get Lifted podcast. And if you're one of those people that just would rather watch than listen, or like just to have visual along with the audio, that's a good option. Those will always be there for you. Also, you want to give your social media handles. I think it's good to start building that brand up.
At Josh Topel on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook, Josh Topel, and Joe Top 8.
Sliding those DMs.
I'm growing by the 100. I think I'm at 250 right now, and not looking forward. I'm one of those guys that's I I keep my own. Like, I use these channels for just my personal entertainment, and Brent's been trying to talk me into building a personal brand.
Let's write that down. Let's have that as another topic. Let's do a whole episode talking about the importance of building your personal brand.
Yeah, it is important.
Even if you work for a corporation
Yep.
or whatever, it's a part.
It helps you in your business.
Exactly. So we'll do that later. Real quick, my social media handles. My fitness account is at Brenton Ross Fitness on Instagram, and then my personal account is just at Brenton Ross Simmons. And the YouTube channel I already said. I'm not real active on Facebook. I'm pretty bad about that, but we're working on getting the lifted Facebook going right now, and then I'm gonna have them start working on my personal
Depends on
Facebook
your
too.
demographic.
So, okay, let's jump into it. How do you want to start?
I want to ask you. Do you think you should go to college?
Depends.
What do you? So, depending on what? I think first that the question needs to be answered. Then we can get into diving into what depends on what. So,
I don't think. Okay, for me, I don't think there is.
Oh wait, let me back up. We'll hear your opinion, but I also want to hear your opinion directed towards probably all the listeners, because we're basically.
No, I'm not saying for my. That's what I'm ready to say.
Okay.
My opinion is that there is no yes or no answer. The answer is it depends.
Okay.
I don't want to say majority yes or majority no, because I think it's very, very specific to each individual situation, whether it's what they want to do or their financial situation, if they're receiving the scholarship, and we'll go through that. But to answer your question, not simply, there is no yes or no in my opinion. It's going to be all situational based on the unique situation.
Okay. That's fair. In the grand scheme of my opinion and my views, I'm in agreement with that.
But would you still say overall, you still say more yes than no?
Overall, I think more yes than no.
See, I'd say more no than yes.
But it also depends, and that's why I want to get your answer first, but then I want to give my answer. I think us going into it is really going to show where we deviate, because my opinion is going to college is much more than just the education. You go to college, the majority of people go to college when they're 18. They go to college from 18 to 22, they go for 4 years, they're just getting out of high school. To be honest with you, you are not mature, haven't experienced life. Majority of people haven't experienced life. And if they have experienced something, it's something that is going to shape them in potentially a way that could affect how the next 4 or 5 years would have played out. Those 4 or 5 years are very important to insulate for what maybe just happened during a rough high school experience or a positive high school experience. Like, high school is such a bullshit time in your life, because you are trying to grow, but you don't know it. You think you're just on top of the fucking world. You think that you are running shit when you don't know anything. And all you give a shit about is studying for this exam, or getting high, or not getting a girl pregnant, or getting laid, or that's all you care about.
So
college is the next level of maturation in any person's life.
now, because of college or because of that age?
No, it's the age group. But college.
Why do they have to be in college?
Well, because here's my view. College gives you that buffer into the real world. Okay, you jump into the real world at 18, after you are that twerp that doesn't know what the hell's going on, and you jump into the real world. Yeah, you're gonna struggle, and you may struggle and it may be good, but you also may run into people that won't respect your opinion because you don't know what the hell you're talking about, because you haven't experienced what you're trying to talk about.
Alright, so I agree with your first part, that it is an important time, and college can be a process of becoming an adult. You can mature through that time, but what I disagree on is that it's necessarily college itself, because that's another situation which is going to be very based on the individual. For example, we went to ASU. how many people do we know, and I always said this even when I was at ASU, that if you, and I don't want to talk bad about the school, because there's a lot of schools that are that, let's just say school in general, not necessarily ASU, but that's just where we went, so it hits home for us, right? Go Sun Devils. If you didn't go into ASU with the mindset that, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have a good time, but my priority is going to be my school, my, taking care of business, my responsibilities, trying to build my education. If you didn't go in that mindset and you just went in with the mindset, I'm gonna have a good time, not all, but most of them failed and dropped out. Now think about how many people we know on Wednesday night at 4 a.m. were fucked up and didn't go to class, and that was the same thing every single week, and they were just having a good time and they dropped out by their sophomore year. But where I'm going with it, let me wrap. So I don't necessarily think it's college. I think that can be in any environment that has structure, whether it's the military or a job environment, or it could be college, that a person around that age group goes into that has the structure around it. You have responsibilities, there's a social aspect to it because you're communicating with the people, your peers that are also in that same structure, and you have responsibilities that you have to fulfill to get you through that time period to then move on to the next point. And I think that part is good. Now, what I think about the actual experience of college that you're referring to that does have value is, just real quick to add, I didn't finish college, but I'm glad that I did go to 3 years of college because, one, people that still live in Phoenix, Scottsdale area, and ASU is the big school here.
It's a network.
There's, I can still relate with those people. I can still talk about my college experience and things like that, but did I actually learn anything in college at all that has helped me in any of my businesses? 100% no.
Yeah, but that's where I would challenge you, because here's where it starts. It starts with going in, I'm not saying every student is going to college thinking it's going to be a huge party, because there are a lot of intelligent kids that they're trying to focus. But I went to college with that intention. I went to college because I was getting out of high school, and that was the first thing on top of my mind. College was an expectation.
To have a good time, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're talking, it's representing freedom for the majority of kids.
Would you agree, though, that for someone who had that mindset, you are a very small percentage that still end up doing well?
I disagree.
How?
I disagree, and here's why.
Look at just our friend group.
But our friend group is a tiny portion. I'm talking about the 4-year buffer that college offers a kid to go through many stages, right? So first stage is party, freedom. Your first year is all about okay, holy shit, how do I interact with people when I have zero responsibility and freedom, and I don't have
zero responsibility.
Zero responsibility meaning I don't have responsibilities that I may have had in a household that was not dictated by that person.
Yeah, but that's a situation for a middle income to high income student who doesn't have to pay their way through school, who can afford to have that freedom and just go to school and have their only responsibility.
I'm not talking about
because
I'm not talking about responsibility okay, so let me rephrase that. I'm talking about responsibility that was not dictated. You could come from low income and have a shit ton of responsibility in your high school and growing up. You can come from middle income and high income and have responsibility. All of that responsibility is dictated by your family's situation, right? Low income, you may be taking care of your brothers and sisters. High income, you may have to take out the trash, whatever. Middle income, you take the dog poop, whatever. All I'm saying is, when you go to college, your responsibilities are dictated by you. You have the freedom, you control it. So
I disagree.
Why?
Because you're not, only if you're financially independent, your responsibilities are still dictated on whoever's paying the bills.
That's not true.
How?
Because they're paying the bills, but you're still you're waking up in the morning, you're going, do I have to brush my teeth? Do I have to take out the trash?
That's not how mine was. At all.
In college?
No, not at all. It was one time it was like that for 3 months my first semester of freshman year. And then after that, the rest of my college, I was working at the same time.
But
And my responsibilities
you're
wasn't.
missing my point. I worked my entire time through college. Like, I worked a 35-hour-a-week job. I'm not talking about the job. I'm talking about you are freed of all of the responsibilities that you once had in a household that you didn't run. Okay,
Why?
so because you don't live there.
But a lot of people that go to college don't live in the dorms, they still live at home.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so in this particular
lot.
case, I'm talking about the going away to college.
Okay.
So you're just talking about going to college, commuting.
Yeah, I'm talking about the overall. Okay, to take my point a step further to make it make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, let's.
I think it has direct correlation with your financial situation.
Yeah.
Are you getting a scholarship? I had a scholarship because I had really good test scores. I didn't care that much about my grades in high school. I had B's and C's because I didn't study or whatever. I just went in and winged it. But my test scores were really good, and I was blessed to be able to do that. So I received scholarships to go to ASU. But someone going to ASU that didn't have scholarships is expensive as shit. And I think that is absolutely ridiculous that any kid, it's unless they I'll take that back. If they handle it the right way and they're thankful and they're responsible, they get good grades, they study, they do what they're supposed to do and have a good time, that's one thing. But if a kid whose parents pay for them to go to an expensive out-of-state school, or they're taking, which is even worse, taking out student loans to go have a good time and grow up because they don't have those responsibilities at home anymore, but yet they're going there and they're partying and they're getting into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to then come out of school and then take this a step further, unless they're going to be working towards a specific trade, a lawyer, a doctor, something that requires a specific set of skills and classes and things you learn in school, it makes absolutely no sense. You come out of school in debt with a set of skills that's so broad that you don't step into a job. You're competing against all these other people, even people that didn't even go to school, who might be smarter or more talented than you, that can interview better than you, and you might not get that job and you're $200,000 in debt. It makes no sense.
So here's where...
If you want to party, don't go to school for a year, don't work for a year, stay home, don't live at home anymore, get rid of your responsibilities, live with your fucking neighbor, and party your ass off, but don't go $200,000 in debt.
College is a microcosm of life.
I completely disagree. College is nothing like real life. It
is a microcosm of life. If you go to a 4-year university, I'm talking 4-year university, let's exclude community college for a second. 4-year university, it is a microcosm because in life, all right, in life, people have a choice to make. Do I want to put my head down and use resources to make myself better? Okay? College is the same concept. You can put your head down and utilize all the resources, because there's a shit ton of resources that are provided, and you can make yourself better. Now, whether you party while doing it, whether you don't literally learn a fucking thing in science or math or any of the bullshit classes that we all take, if you leverage the network and the bonds that are available for you, when I say bond, like human bond, if you can leverage what's available, you win. That's college. You win. It is a humongous microcosm of life.
You went to an in-state school, and ASU is extremely cheap for in-state students, and you went and you got your degree, and then you went and worked at an IBM corporation.
But I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about anyone.
But that's why you're biased.
But you're biased.
That's
what we're talking
about. But that's what I'm saying. The financial situation is directly correlated. You didn't go into debt to do that.
Yeah, I'm paying my school off myself currently.
Okay, but you didn't go into $200,000 in debt.
No.
Exactly. That's my point.
I didn't. Yeah.
If you would have lived in Nebraska and came to ASU and did the exact same thing that you did, you would be hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt right now.
Yes.
And what if you didn't get that? Because I mean, let's be honest. At the end of the day, you didn't come out of school and IBM recruited you out of ASU because of your degree. You used your network and you were able to use your credentials. I'll give you that you did graduate and that qualified you. But what got you the job was not your degree. It was how you interviewed. It was how you presented yourself. It was how you sold yourself.
Oh,
So what is way more important, like I said, if you aren't going to school for a specific trade, like a doctor or lawyer or something like that, and you're getting a general degree, communication, business degree, like all these different just, bulk.
General, yeah.
Exactly. It is a waste. Because whoever sells themselves the best in that class, in that interview, is who's going to get the job.
Yeah, but you're looking at symbolic things here. You're looking at a fiscal symbol for how much somebody spends to go to a college, which is totally
That's all that
arbitrary.
matters.
But it's arbitrary to everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about low, middle, and high income. And
Right.
for somebody who comes from a family of millions, $200K is a fucking penny into the ocean.
Right, but it doesn't mean it was still a responsible decision.
I agree, but let's look at the flip side. Let's look at the side that you're basically playing, which is in the majority you think that most people shouldn't go to college.
I'm taking the stance of the majority, the average American household that makes on a dual income $40,000 to $50,000 a year, and their kid wants to go to out-of-state school that costs $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and for 4 years is going to put them $200,000 to $250,000 in debt just to get their bachelor degree. I think that if they are going to get a general education instead of a specific trade, like I said, is a complete mistake.
Well, so this is what I want to play out. What is the alternative path for that person?
If they're, okay, so let's say they want to get a general business degree. Instead of getting $200,000 in debt, and school does not give you anything other than the actual running spreadsheet. Like you take your classes to do, run your accounting classes when you're doing business. They give you some techniques on how to interview and shit like that. Like, is there some value to that? Sure. But you can take a class online for hundreds of dollars on how to do an interview. You can watch fucking YouTube videos on how to do an interview and still learn. And I know there's many people listening to this that are, big college advocates, and they're probably getting really upset right now. But in my opinion, the education you get by working for a company in the similar field, and it might not be the end job that you want. Let's say the end job, just to use yours example, is you want to work at IBM. And coming out of high school at 18 or 19, you're not getting the job. But if you went and you worked as an intern or a low-level job for the 2 years at some small tech company or something like that was going to be relatable to an IBM job, then after that you've been there and you worked your way up there. Maybe you're not even ready at that point, but right now you're still only 20 years old and you're not in debt. You've made money the entire time. Then you work your next job. It's still maybe not IBM yet, but you're working your way up here. You're gaining experience. You're learning the real world, what it's like. It's not like college. It's not like college at all.
I agree, but there's a couple humongous things you're missing.
I think a lot of students have a serious amount of anxiety that have a general business degree. And I know I just keep talking about the business degree because that's what I studied and that's what I know, and I don't want to talk about something that I don't know. I'm just talking about what I feel like I can talk intelligently about. I feel like a lot of students coming out of school with a general business degree are freaking the fuck out when they get out of school and they realize they're in debt. There wasn't a job they were stepping into, and even if they did step into one, it was 30, 40K, if that. And they're now realizing interest has started on their student loans. By the time they're making their interest payment, they're living in an apartment with roommates and making their car just paying their bare minimum bills. They can't get ahead. They're constantly trying to pay off their debt.
Well,
That to me makes no sense.
I'll say one thing that backs what you're saying, which is we currently live in the day and age of the highest percentage of students outside of college that end up going back to live at home.
Exactly.
But
why is that?
oh, that's 100%. It's many different things. It's a saturation within the job market as a whole. B, it's the fact, and here's what I was going to get to. The reason is that the base level, the ground level, has shifted up. Meaning the minimum requirement for the jobs that you come out of college looking for are not looking for your 18-year-olds. those 18-year-olds, if they don't go to college for 4 years, are 4 years behind. I mean, they haven't started, but they're 4 years behind the 22-year-old that comes out with a degree.
Well,
who is already behind.
But even the person that's going to go to get that degree is not getting that job at 18. That's
Agreed.
not fair. You're on the same time frame.
But
if that person at 18 starts working at a job that's going to be a direct avenue into the type of job they want, they're ahead when they get out. Because the other guy that gets out at 4 years later with his business degree, who's been in a frat all 4 years and got C's and passed and drank every weekend, and you ask him a question directly correlated to the type of stuff they're going to be doing at that job that they're wanting, and then you ask a guy that's already been working in that field for 4 years, who do you think is going to know more?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, there's one side of the equation you're not even factoring in, which is a personality and a social skill that may have been developed 4 years. Just hear me out. A social skill that may have been developed, or a personal management skill that may have been developed during 4 years of fucking up. 4 years of getting slapped in the face. You work. All right, you go to work at 18. All you know is high school, right? You don't know.
But it doesn't matter anymore. That's gone. All that matters is what you're doing now at your new job.
Totally correct.
So
what are you going to do in your 18?
What do you think matures you faster? Do you
home?
think that what will mature you faster is now you are relying on yourself, you're paying your own bills, you're learning your trade at 18, or do you think you're learning more and growing up by partying?
You're learning your trade if you were smart enough to get into your trade, or if lucky enough to get into your trade at 18.
You tell me.
The minimum is not at 18.
But it doesn't even have to be a internship at some big company.
It doesn't.
The fact that you're working in that field is what is more. You're learning more from real life, because college is not real life.
I get.
For some people, it is like a community college where they're working of 9 to 5 and then they're going to night school. Like I respect the fuck out of those people, because the reason why I dropped out. Now I will say this. My plan was still to get my 4-year degree. I got 3 years through. Was the reason why I was going to was because it was like a fallback plan, just in case. So, and that was when I was in the financial world. I was still an intern, like
you know what the fuck you want to do.
Exactly. But so that's why I wanted it as basically an insurance policy, right? So if shit hit the fan, I still could fall back on that. Do I still wish I had that? To an extent, yes, but for the path that I chose years ago, at this point right now, it really wouldn't matter. But here's the way I think that sums up the clearest for what I'm trying to say, okay? How you spend your time, not just how you spend your money, but how you spend your time is the biggest investment you can make, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you're putting money behind your time, that becomes the ultimate investment.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally agree.
Okay. So if you're going to tell me I'm going to invest $200,000 and 4 years of my time to become, actually it's going to be longer than that, it's going to be like 8 to 12 years of my time to be a doctor, and it's going to be more than $200,000, whatever it is, 400 grand, 500 grand, and 10 years of my time, and then I'm going to be a doctor, and then for the rest of my life I'm going to make 400 or 600, whatever, if I end up opening my own practice, millions of dollars a year. Done deal. That's a great return. I'm willing to put in the work. I'll put in the time. I know what I'm working for. God willing, nothing happens to me during that time. I get sick or whatever. But it's a pretty good investment, okay? But if you tell me I want you to spend 4 years and $200,000, and then when that's over, you don't get to step in. There's nothing guaranteed. You have a very, very similar set of skills and credentials as hundreds of thousands of other people. And the majority of the people that are coming out of college with that same degree are getting $40,000 to $60,000 a year. That's a terrible investment.
Here's the way I look at it is, so first and foremost, at 18, it's very evident. The majority of 18-year-olds I've ever talked to, I have an 18-year-old brother. Did you know what you wanted to do at 18?
No. And it doesn't matter. Go travel the world for 4 years.
Okay.
I still think that's better. Because you're not $200,000 in debt. As long as you're not traveling the world on fucking credit cards, I still think it's better. You'll learn more, you'll gain more experience, and this, you can't argue this because this is what all the time you always preach to me.
To a degree, but
you will gain more experience, a much broader worldview, you'll understand where people are coming from, you'll just be a more well-rounded individual if you traveled the world for 4 years than if you went to college for 4 years and you come out $200,000 a day.
But you know just as well as I do, if you're hiring somebody,
Mhm.
all right, when you turn 18, you graduate college. You have a perpetually,
High school.
high school. You have a perpetually running clock that starts. And guess what starts? The clock to life.
No, but you're contradicting yourself.
But no, I'm not, because here's what happens. For 4 years, you are spending money to slow that clock down, or at 18, you are spending zero money and that clock is still running.
Good.
Okay, but at the end of the 4 years that you're traveling, when you go in to get a job or something that you want to do, what have you done with the last 4 years of life?
Before you answer that question, let me address exactly what you just said. Okay? So you said at 18, if you go to college, you're spending that money, but you're slowing the clock down.
Yeah.
I think it's 100% the exact opposite. What you're doing is you're spending money, your student loans, and I'm not saying if you're lucky enough to have a scholarship or someone's paying for your school, I'm not talking about that. God bless you, go to fucking school, thank God, do your best, that's great. But if you're having to take out student loans, okay, it's the exact opposite, because all you're doing is you're pushing this massive debt back while you're saying you're freezing time, and then as soon as that clock hits, you're hitting a fucking wall.
Well, that
So-
starts.
But it's
that.
But you're starting at a negative 200 now.
Yeah. But you're looking at a fiscal.
But you're thinking about, okay, so for 18 to 22 for 4 years, I'm getting to push this off. I can have some fun. I can try to mature a little bit and think about what I want to do. That's great. Do that exact same thing, but don't go into debt doing it.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be a major restructure of our higher education system for college in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, I don't disagree that it's not fucked up, because it is. But all I'm saying is that money you spend is not putting you at a deficit, not financially, but in your professional life, if you don't spend those 4 years in a positive or an aggressive or motivationally driven way. Like, if you don't spend your 18 to 22 years in college, you are on the clock and it is running.
Yeah, but that's not a fair example, because you can't say from 18 to 22, this person's a loser and didn't do anything, but the person that's going from 18 to 22 in college is a winner and they're going to study. You got to use the same sample group. You either have 2 losers or you have 2 winners. I'm talking about if you got 2 winners, 2 go-getters. One's in college, one's not. And they're both trying to get a business degree. The one 4 years later that didn't go to college, that's not $200,000 in debt, that's a go-getter, is going to be ahead of the one that did. Now, if you have 2 losers, or if you have 1 winner that's in school and they're studying and they come out, even if they are in debt, and they have a degree and they know what they want to do, I agree that that person is going to be ahead of some guy that fucking sits on his ass and smokes weed for 4 years from 18 to 22 and doesn't work towards anything. Like, I agree. But if you got 2 losers and 2 winners and you put them in the 2 environments and let them see who does better all day, every day, I will take the guy that's not going to business school.
Yeah, but you know what? That's where the depends comes in.
How?
Because that's where I agree with you. If you know at 18 that you have a winner and a kid that's driven and knows what it's take, what the fuck does he need college for? But we're not arguing that. We're talking about, should you go to school? Low, middle, high income,
yes.
Loser, winner. You don't know what that person is.
So you disagreed with me. Okay, can we come on common ground right now and say you agree with me on the point that if you aren't going to school for a specific trade, to be a doctor, or what accountant,
I will partially agree with you, because there are still many benefits to the 4 years you put in college. It's a fucking networking game.
If you choose to.
That's
why I'm still thankful that I did go to 3 years.
Exactly.
Because I did meet people, but none of the people I met in that 3 years from school, and that's because I ended up choosing to be an entrepreneur, benefited me in my career.
I'll tell you right now.
But if you, like, for example, I've had a lot of friends that were in fraternities, and a lot of them have benefited from those relationships.
Absolutely.
I will agree with that 100%. There's that brotherhood there where a sorority or a fraternity, the successful people that have come out of that fraternity tend to help and take care of the other people who are alumni that came out of the same frat system that they did or sorority system. I agree with that, okay? I think there are perks to that. But just the general human being that's going into debt to receive something that's not necessarily going to pay off is a bad investment. It's like buying something for 200 grand that you don't know if you'll ever technically be able to sell.
But you're looking for, what you're trying to look for is a tangible ROI.
Yes.
I get that. But you can't pull a tangible ROI for a 4-year experience.
Then go travel for 4 years.
But it's not the same. You go travel for 4 years, you're gonna come back, you're gonna fucking drink herbal teas, you're gonna do yoga all the time.
Come on, that's an extreme.
The point,
No.
all I'm saying is like,
You don't do that, you travel.
yeah, but all I'm saying, if I travel for if anybody travels for 4 years, I'm gonna say the majority of people are gonna come back, they're gonna wanna do public service, they're gonna wanna help out, they're gonna wanna do nonprofits, they're going to want to help the world.
You're proving my point.
But that's not
growing. They're growing as a human being. They're getting the experience that you're talking about, coming into maturity, realizing where the priorities are in life, and you're making my point that I'm looking at everything as a bottom dollar, as an investment.
That's not.
So at that point, it doesn't matter because they're gaining experience that has nothing to do with money. They're growing up as a human being. They're realizing the things in life that really matter. And at that point, if you were going to ask me, that's another situational. If their goal was to make as much money as they can, then that was a bad decision. But that's not always everybody's priority. They just want to live a fulfilled life, and fulfillment comes from finding what you're passionate about, helping other people. That's what gives fulfillment.
Totally agree.
Okay.
Totally agree.
So then what does college have to do with that? You can find that without college. I didn't get that from college, and I experienced college to the absolute fullest.
College is an enabler for many paths. College opens
But so is
doors.
being a person that's outgoing.
Yeah, but not everybody's outgoing, right? If I'm not outgoing,
If you're not outgoing and at school, how's that going to be an enabler?
maybe I join a club.
You're not outgoing, you're not going to join a club.
Why wouldn't you? You join a club of like-minded
I would join a
individuals.
fucking club and I'm outgoing. Someone who's...
But you're not outgoing. You're also introverted in many different
No,
ways.
I'm not.
You are.
No, I'm not.
You're introverted and outgoing in different ways. I'm the same way. I love my fucking alone time. I can't buy enough alone time. I also can talk to any human being possible. But here's the point I'm trying to make. In college, you grow into yourself. You schedule things on your own. You do things on your own. You meet people that have like minds for anything, whether it be video games.
Do you schedule more things on your own, though, if you're in college or if you're out of college?
You don't have a fucking choice if you're in college.
Exactly, because you're not scheduling it yourself. They schedule it for you. Yeah, you can pick
not
three
talking about
different
classing.
times for your...
Alright,
That's all you do is go to class.
Let's wipe all this shit away. Class in college, I agree with you. Fucking pointless. I didn't learn anything. The ethic that I learned, I already had in high school. College, educationally, whatever. All right, from my standpoint. Now, if you're going there for a specific, like you said, if you're going for a specific trade, if you're going for a reason, or if you are just a bookworm, I love it. Proud of you. Good job. Continue getting A's. I got, I don't know, what was it? I think I had a 3.1 GPA.
Nice.
Whatever.
You want a cookie?
I want to. But that's not my point. My argument is the whole. And I think you're arguing the education,
but
I'm arguing the whole.
I'm agreeing with you that there's value to that. But what you're getting out of that point you're making is not worth going into debt. It's not. It's not.
That's that's tangible, and
yes. But at the end of the day,
it's not tangible.
What you're saying, like during that time period, sure. But then when real life hits, 4 years later, then none of that shit mattered anymore, and all that matters is the fact that you're $200,000 in debt.
Yeah, but as an
and you can be the nicest, greatest person and have learned all the shit, all the people skills, and been outgoing and been in clubs and have 400 million friends. But if your ass is $200,000 in debt and you're getting a $30,000 a year job, you don't ever get to hang out with your fucking friends because you're gonna be working 3 jobs to pay off your student loans.
Yeah, but you know what? You pay it off over time. You get a 10-year payment plan. But here, whatever, that's off topic of what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is you as an entrepreneur should know this better than any single person. And I know this being working in the corporate world. Your network is fucking huge.
Not from college.
Then you didn't do it right.
Are you kidding me? You're gonna argue that I don't have a good network, and I got
Brent,
all my network from my jobs
Brent,
that I worked.
all I'm saying is the 18 to 22, who are you networking with at 18 to 22?
I was networking with high network clients at
You
my
are
job.
an anomaly. You are an anomaly.
But that's my point, is you don't, today, fitting into this norm, this societal norm that was created by other human beings who benefited from it, that doesn't make sense anymore. Fitting in today and just doing it because everyone else is doing it is bad.
I agree with that concept. I do.
So why
Go
do it?
against the grain.
Don't do it.
Yeah, but doing it is not about fitting in. Doing
Yes.
it is about it's a part of who we are.
But you said I'm an anomaly. I think that
You are
and
an anomaly.
I appreciate you saying that because anybody can be an anomaly.
But, no, I'm
And
talking about everything about your situation.
I
as an
understand,
anomaly.
but I'm
You're
encouraging people who are pursuing a career in business. If there's a job that you specifically want for a corporation, do your research. Do they require a 4-year degree? And if they do, okay, cool. Go in state, get a scholarship, know what you're gonna do, plan ahead, okay? That's fine. But if you're doing your research on a job and that's not one of their prereqs, figure out whatever it is that you gotta do to get from A to B, B being getting that job, and do it for the least amount of money possible.
Yeah, but you're so worried about the fucking fiscal amount.
But
It's not that big of a deal.
It
in the
is
grand
though.
scheme of
It
life.
is though. It is though. Because when you're
It's
5
not.
years down the road, you graduated, you're 27, you've been married for a year, you got a new kid, right? You're paying for all your wife and your bills, or your husband, or whatever. If she's the breadwinner, I'm not trying to be sexist. If you're paying for your husband's bills, you got a kid, you got to take care of your kid, right? What is the number one stress creator other than health problems?
Money.
Exactly.
All right.
So it matters, Josh. It matters.
I agree
It
with
matters more than anything.
Money dictates everything. It doesn't make you happy, but it
And I
helps,
hate that.
helps you
I
be
hate
happy.
that. I
know.
love the competitiveness of the game that money creates.
Yeah,
But I
know.
hate the fact that everything is a result
I
of
agree with
money.
you. I agree with you. I think that in your argument, though, there's a huge hole, which is you're arguing about winners. And if a winner is going to win,
But a loser's always going to lose, and a winner's always going to win, no matter what fucking situation they're
but
in.
that's not true.
Yes,
you
it
can
is.
literally turn any loser into a winner or a winner into a loser. It takes bad luck.
But
it
they
takes
have to
good-
want to win.
Yeah, no, I
No one's
totally
going to do
agree.
it for them. And in school, you're going to fail, and now you're in debt, and you failed, and you didn't get your degree.
Yeah, but I mean, we can sit here and argue about every situation of every type of person. But if you want to talk about a winner and a
But it
winner,
is situational, and I think that's what it comes down to.
that's 100%.
As an individual, so let's and I'm trying to be as open-minded as possible. So let me talk right here, and I think you'll see that I'm trying to be that way.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you need to know yourself. That's one of the most important things about life, is knowing yourself.
Agreed.
Okay, so at 18 years old, you're an adult.
Yeah.
Okay, at that point,
Technically.
you should be able to take a hard look at yourself. And really, if you're smart, you should be doing it 15 or 16, because now good schools today, you gotta already be
Look at our
getting a
fucking
4.0, getting a 35 on your ACT or whatever, you know? Like, you gotta start really planning, okay? But let's just, as a sample group, say you're 18 years old. At that point as an adult, you need to be able to look at yourself and say, am I outgoing? Am I a go-getter? Am I someone that's gonna need structure to get me from the way I am right now to a mature adult that can do well and succeed in this world? Okay? You need to be able to know yourself and put yourself in the best situation to succeed. So if you're someone that's saying, I need that structure, and I think I think I need to be taken out of my comfort zone because I'm not necessarily outgoing. I need to push myself a little bit. So I think by going to college and joining a Greek system or joining a club or whatever is going to basically force myself to get out of my shell and do that, then I agree with that. I think that's good for them.
Yeah.
But they need to do it in a in-state school or somewhere that's not going to be basically jeopardizing their future just for where they're at right now. Okay? So that's that side. So it's someone who does need that. And I think that if that's the case and that's who you are and you know you are that type of person, then go to school. And we've fucking hit on this 5 times. If you want to be a specific trade, go to school to be that trade, doctor or whatever. Okay? Now, on the other side, if you're 18 and you realize, and you're like me, and the only reason why I went to school was, one, I wanted to get the fuck out of Kansas and I wanted to go to ASU and have a good time. That was a big part of it. I wanted to have an insurance policy, like I said earlier, in case, as an entrepreneur, I failed. And my plan at that point in my life, which I developed at a young age because that's how my dad raised me, was, okay, I know I want to be an entrepreneur just like my father. But what I want to do, because I saw him, all the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, having a ton of money, having no money, and not knowing how you're going to eat. And I didn't want that, because that, like I said earlier, that creates stress on your family, on your marriage, on your kids, that I don't want to subject my future family to. So my plan was, okay, I'm going to play the game, the corporate structure, go to school, and I made that mistake. Even though I had a scholarship, it's still pretty expensive to go to ASU out of state, and I had to take out student loans, and I just paid those off last year. Like,
you're lucky.
Right, exactly. And that's another being an anomaly, the fact that they're already paid off, Like, thank God I was able to be successful enough to this point to be able to pay my student loans off at this point. But let me finish, I got a tangent there. The only reason why I went was because I was like, all right, I know I want to be an entrepreneur. I know it's what I want to do. I know it's my calling. I know it's how my brain's wired. But how do I mitigate some of my risk? Now, if I was really smart at that age, I would have bit the bullet and said, I don't need to go to ASU. I can get a full ride probably to an in-state school because of my tests, and went to an in-state school, got my degree, and done it that way. Okay? But my plan was, all right, I'm gonna get my degree and I'm gonna get a job, and while I'm working that job to create stability, to save money, I'm then going to start my own businesses on the side at night. That means I gotta work, if I get home, if I work 9 to 5, and that means I work from 6 to 11 or 6 to 1 in the morning every single night on my own companies, then that's what I'm going to do. That was my plan, okay? So then I'm 3 years in, I get that job, I'm working that job at the firm, and it gets to the point where I'm working 60 hours a week at the financial firm, doing my school online, paying for out-of-state tuition, and then now I'm realizing I'm not doing very well in school because my priority is my job. I'm making enough money now at my job that actually my schooling, what I'm doing, really has nothing to do with what's going to benefit me more or cause me to make more money by finishing. So I made the decision at that point to drop out.
Yeah.
Now, I think that overall, unless you're 2 years into your business degree and you realize you don't know what the fuck you're going to do and you're just accumulating more debt, then yeah, quit. But overall, quitting and dropping out is a bad decision because you're just losing out on the money you've already invested. If you can afford to finish and to get yourself all the way through and have that fallback, I think that makes sense. Unless that's just burying yourself in more debt and you're not working towards something specific, okay? So my point is, if your goal is not going to be more likely to be achieved or not being put at the expense of going into debt to go to college, then go to college. But if it's going to put you in a crazy amount of debt, or it's not going to necessarily get you to where you want to be at when you get out of college, then I think it's a terrible thing to do today. Now, if things get restructured, which I think to an extent they are going to, because it's an epidemic in the country right now, how many kids, we'll call them kids, we're still kids, I'm 26, we were 26, we're probably like 45-year-old, 26-year-olds in my opinion. I'm
Speak
90,
for yourself.
I feel like I'm 90. But all the people that are in their 20s, 30s, and even early 40s today that are severely still in debt from student loans, because even when you file bankruptcy, right, your student loans don't go away. Did you know that?
Yeah, no, I know.
So
all government.
it follows you for the rest of your
IRS
life. Exactly. So I think they're going to restructure that at a point because it's putting, like, people aren't buying as many. First-time home buyers now it's less frequent that they're buying new homes in their 20s. They're taking a different route. They're like, for me, exactly. Like, I could have purchased a home in the last couple of years, but instead of buying an entry-level home that I could have afforded, I decided, okay, so let's say my mortgage is going to be $1,500. In Arizona, pretty much everybody has HOAs and, you know, your property taxes. And if you average that out over the month, it's going to cost me about $3,000. And in a good market, hopefully your home is going to appreciate, but you never know. It could go up or down. So I'm just going to base it off the numbers that I know. Let's say it's going to be $3,000 a month. If you can rent an apartment for $1,500 and be saving your money, because a lot of times in the neighborhoods here, as you know, your HOAs and your property taxes are more than what a rent would be.
But you're getting on a financial, like, your entire reasoning, other than the fact that you're talking about somebody who, let's be honest, like, in today's society, kids are growing up less and less driven because everything.
No.
Hey,
No.
Listen.
I'm not going to accept that.
Okay, just listen. Kids, in my opinion, kids are growing up less and less driven because their life is revolving around content. Content, whether it be entertaining, whether it be funny, whether it be sports, bullshit, white noise, okay? Everything, and I'm going to say this, and you may disagree, and I'm going to quote this on a Joe Rogan podcast I heard. We are growing up in the easiest time ever to live. Everything is on demand.
Why does that make things easy?
Well,
that just makes things more accessible.
That makes us retarded. That
No,
makes
it
us.
doesn't.
And I'd say that with respect to.
Yeah, that was terrible.
All I'm saying is that makes us dumb.
No.
That makes us stupid.
No.
Yes.
Completely disagree.
Okay. No. Just
Completely
because we can
disagree.
have things on demand.
Have someone take your phone away for a month and see
I'm
what
talking about in comparison to 5,000 years ago. Okay. I'm talking about when we
You
used.
think that people 5,000 years ago are smarter than a 14-year-old kid is smarter than someone 5,000 years ago?
Okay, but all I'm saying is, in relation to my point, we are living in an easier time than ever.
Completely disagree.
Yeah, if you want something, it's on your doorstep within 24 hours.
That doesn't make it easier. That just makes it more accessible.
Yeah, it's accessible, but everything is easier to come by.
How?
Everything. If you want to
you have to be more intelligent today in order to be able to build something like that. In order to be able to work an iPhone.
That's because there's
in
a
order
lot
to
of
be able
white
to
noise.
set up this fucking podcast that took us 3 days to set up.
If we wanted to set up a podcast 15 years ago, we actually have to set up an entire room. We have to have professional grade, like high expensive, very expensive equipment.
That has nothing to do with it.
Okay, but it makes it harder.
No, it doesn't.
Because somebody can be successful with literally buying two $200 mics and a Mac and projecting. Okay? 10 years ago.
Okay.
It's an investment.
That's
problem.
But
I'm getting on a tangent because you keep
wrong.
interrupting. My point was this, okay? At the age of 14 to 18, if you compare the 14 and 18-year-olds today to 10 years ago, they all have iPads in class. They are all on their phone in class. They are all not paying attention to anything that can actually be of importance to them. Do they know how to fucking literally manage their bank account? Do they know how to balance a checkbook? Which
Did you balance your fucking checkbook?
I know how to balance it, but we don't need it.
Did you balance your fucking checkbook when you were 17?
No, but I knew how to fucking manage a credit card.
Yeah, but today you can get on your fucking iPad, log in, they're more tech savvy, and can look and it balances your checkbook for you.
Yeah, but it makes
Well, why does it matter if you know how to balance your checkbook?
Because
you can be more efficient.
It's a
you have more
trickle
time
down.
to learn.
It's a trickle
You're
down.
learning.
It's a trickle down. Just because my brother knows how to download an app faster than my grandpa doesn't mean that
They can get the same job done more efficiently now.
I'm with you on that. I'm in the tech world. Like, I believe that technology is fucking amazing. But what I think technology is doing to us is making us stupider in a lot of different ways.
No.
For instance, I'll give you a perfect example. If you wanted to spell the same amount of words that you could spell when you were in high school, you couldn't do it. Because you have spell check now. You have
I had spell check when I was in high school.
Whatever, I'm just saying, like, when you were learning how to spell and pronunciate, other than the fact that you've had years to pronunciate, you don't know how to spell the amount of words that you knew how to spell in high school. You don't need it. Because there are things that are thinking for you. It is making us stupider. And so I think that the things that are making us, making things more accessible are making us stupider, which needs more time for us to develop our personal skills, interpersonal or intrapersonal.
But because you don't have to take the time to learn how to spell some 15 character long word, you can use that time, like you just said, to develop your personal skills.
You could, but that's where you develop personal skills.
You just said you needed more time. The advancements in technology give us more time. They save us time, which allow us to do more.
They allow us to do more in a lot of capacities.
All capacities.
But educationally, they're hurting us.
So you think that someone that can spell a long word is smarter than someone that knows how to build an app?
Someone that can spell a long word is more prone to have a bigger vocabulary, which means they may come off as more intellectual.
They may come off as more intellectual.
They may be more intellectual.
Because they know how to use big words?
I'm just saying, you're reading, okay? Reading.
Uh-huh.
Instead of looking at or playing a video game on your app, reading will make a human more intellectual and more well-versed.
That's not true.
What do you mean that's not true? You're fucking reading
It depends on how
words.
the person learns the best. Someone can sit down who learns visually better today, who 15, 20, 30 years ago could not sit down and watch a 7-minute YouTube video on how to do whatever the fuck they want to do. YouTube literally has, no matter what you want to do, no matter what it is almost, how to do it.
I totally agree.
Okay?
Totally
Now,
agree.
what is better? To sit there and read 7 fucking books for 8 months to learn how to do something, and this person is dyslexic or has a slow read.
You're taking a different point, though.
No, but it's the general person.
I get that.
You can learn much more effectively and easily by watching this 7-minute video on how to do this, and they get it done, than to be someone who has to read a fucking book how to do it.
We're getting on a tangent. My point was very simple.
But
The
it's
15-year-old today, as opposed to the 15-year-old 10 to 15 years ago, is babied and sheltered because
that's so subjective to the household.
That's subjective
because
to the household.
Because if I was growing up again right now, I wouldn't have.
Let me ask you a very simple question. 15 years ago, did a kid have a phone to entertain themselves?
I did.
15 years ago?
Yeah.
You were 11.
I had my first phone when I was 7.
Alright, whatever. 20 years ago, did a kid have a phone to entertain themselves? No. They had to entertain themselves either conventionally through games, talking to people, or literally putting themselves out there.
Are you going to make an argument that entertaining themselves by playing video games is better than a cell phone?
No, games like conventional
games,
board games.
I played video games all fucking day 20 years ago.
But the point is very simple, okay? It is taking our attention off of what is important and making us slower learners.
Faster.
It makes us faster in technology. I agree.
It makes you be able to learn quicker.
But it makes us
because
slower.
The information is more accessible.
You're in a reversal.
What's harder? To go find a dictionary and look up a word you don't know what it is, or you can pick up your phone and say, "Hey Siri, what does dysfunctional mean?"
You're missing my
point. And it's going to say Josh's argument right now.
You're missing my point. But you're interjecting and you're throwing our point off here. The point was very simple.
I will do this. I will be quiet for the next however much time you want, and then you can say speak, and then I'll respond. So go ahead.
By the way, I used to tell him that
when
I used to answer the phone.
Fucking piss me off. Go.
My point is simple. We are sheltered as a generation. We are sheltered. We are babied. As a whole, I'm generalizing here. I'm sure not everybody is babied, not everybody's sheltered. And I'm not even saying it individually. I'm saying as a generation. We are sheltered to social norms.
Can I ask a question?
Not yet. No. We are sheltered to society and interacting with humans and learning how to talk to people and learning what people do best and what people don't do best, because everything is being harnessed into what is in front of them at that moment and what is the next thing that's in front of them at that moment and what is the piece of information they're getting out of that thing. And they can't focus on who's talking to them or what they're saying or what do they mean or how to interact with that person, because the majority of these people are interacting with something that doesn't know how to do that. So then you get into 18, and you expect this fucking kid to go out and have a fucking structured plan on making himself into a successful entrepreneur, and he can't even talk to people. He can't plan for himself. He can't manage his money. This is an 18-year-old. The majority of 18-year-olds.
I'm not going to give you that much more time before I start talking.
Okay, well, you don't have to, because I'm going to talk over you.
You've made 3 points. Can I respond to your points
No,
you've made?
I'm going to keep talking.
You've made 3 asinine points. Number 1, that our society today is more sheltered than it was before. That is complete fucking bullshit. You are less sheltered today because a 5-year-old that knows how to work a fucking iPad can pull up YouPorn in 2 seconds. You are not more sheltered. Right now on your phone, you can get on Instagram or Twitter or whatever and see all the terrible shit that's happening around the entire world.
But we're desensitized.
What was it, Facebook 2 months ago? That was the guy got shot on Facebook Live. Would that have happened 10, 15 years ago? We are far, far, far less sheltered today than any other time in our generation. Number 2, when you said that people interact with less people because of technology. Someone who lives on a farm in the middle of fucking bumfuck nowhere 25 years ago, before they had cell phones or texting or any of the technology that you're referring to right now, would refer to the people, would communicate with the people that they saw on that day or talked on the telephone to, okay? That person today could literally be having a group chat while they're driving a fucking tractor with someone in China. The power of social media is incredible. The people that I'm able to network with, somebody that just came out and did a collab with me last month, was from the Netherlands. And the only reason why we met was because of our Instagrams. It's incredible how much it can bring people together. Now, to one thing to agree with what you said. If you and I are sitting here having a conversation, because I know how much this bothers you, and that's why I'm going to talk on it, because I do agree with you to an extent. And someone's sitting there, and they're fucking texting, and you're trying to have a serious, even if it's not even serious, you just are wanting to dedicate time because you care about this person, you want to have a real conversation with them, and they're fucking texting, or they're on Instagram, or doing whatever. Do I think that that is a problem? Absolutely. 100%. And this is coming from someone who has 2 fucking phones and 6 Instagram accounts and is glued to their phones. Now, most of that has been learned, and I'll give you a little credit because you used to give me shit about it years ago, and then after I got married, she fucking bitches at me like crazy if we're at dinner or we're talking about something and I'm on my phone. So, and I took a step back and I thought, okay, is that actually a problem? It's more of like disrespectful, because me personally, if you could be telling me very, very valuable information and I could still text and I could be listening to you. I'm able to multitask. But it's not really about that. It's more so about the respect that you're giving someone to say, okay, I'm gonna put my phone down because the fact that we're spending time together and what we're talking about right now is more of a priority to me, and out of respect to you, I'm putting my phone down. I do agree with that. I think technology today is incredible. I think the opportunities that it brings today is incredible, but it comes with responsibility. And then that responsibility is how we use it, when we use it, in so many different aspects. You know, the parental controls you have on the devices for your kids, the respect level we just talked about when you're interacting with another person, the fact that if you start to notice that you're starting to have a problem interacting with people because you're used to doing it over a device instead of in person, then that's something that you need to be able to recognize. There's a ton of responsibilities that come from it. But to say as a whole, just like with the school thing, just to say as a whole, just to put a big bubble over everything and say that it's bad, or to say that it's making us worse, I completely, 100% disagree.
In relationship to where you are developmentally as a 14 to 18-year-old and preparing them for real life, I think it is 100% a negative, not a positive. And that's why I explained it earlier.
What if you're but you're using a 4-year window instead of saying
I'm
someone
talking
to the
about-
age of
I'm talking about the 4 developmental years going into the period.
But you were talking about 18 to 22, and I think and you, to an extent, a 14 to 18-year-old is very, very different sample group than an 18 to 22 year old.
But
I would disagree with you all day, every damn day.
'Cause-
that 18 to 22 year old that is negative. I think that it is the biggest tool that an 18 to 22 year old have, and it can be the same thing if it's handled responsibly for a 14
I agree,
18 year
but
old.
my whole entire point was leading up to that 18-year-old that either goes to college or doesn't. And I don't think that today's 18-year-old is ready to go into the world and make decisions on what they want to do with their life based on the 4 years that I'm talking about now.
So do you think online school is a complete waste?
Total waste.
So-
Total waste. We were in the ADHD
Okay,
era.
You walked right into my trap.
Okay, fine.
You just walked
Talk
right
it.
into my trap.
Talk it.
So what you're saying is that having that tool today that's so valuable to so many people that don't have the time to go to class and sit in class 4 or 5 days a week, 6 hours a day. Now they have this tool where they can get the same information,
Online.
the same thing, the same education, everything that they're getting, minus the experience of sitting in a class around other people
Yeah.
or partying or whatever. Okay? That same person couldn't, if it wasn't for that amazing tool of being able to go to school online, they wouldn't be able to go to school at all. Because the only reason why they're going to school online for the most part is because they have to work or they have to take care of their kids or whatever. It's an amazing tool that benefits our society greatly.
Yeah, but it takes the right person with the right discipline, and it
But
takes
every situation's that way.
Yeah, but I'm telling you that my entire point, I've started this an hour ago. My entire point of going to college is not purely the education.
Okay, but
my point is
go ahead.
everything. Okay, and
But you just said that it's not the education, so you can't say it's everything. You have to single it out what you're talking about. You're talking about the experience aside from the education, because you can get the same education online. We can get the same fucking education right here from our phone.
but it's different.
No, it's not.
Yeah, because
Not the education, not the diploma, not the credentials. All of that's the same.
going to class
You're
creates accountability.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
I
it
never
does.
went to class, and I still got good grades.
Okay, here's another example then, if you don't think it creates accountability. Online, you can cheat all day, any day. Anybody that wants to cheat can cheat.
No.
Yeah, you pull two computers up next to each other, you cheat, it's done.
Okay,
It's that
but
easy.
that's not gonna prove your point.
My
That
point
doesn't
is,
prove your point, because you're still making the same point. It's outside of the education, because you're just cheating. You're getting the credentials. You're getting it. You just didn't earn it.
correct.
Okay, so but that's not what you're saying. That's worth going to college. You're saying it's the experience of being at college around people your age, growing up socially.
Yes, totally
Okay.
agree.
But do you think that is worth going $200,000 in debt?
Yeah,
Okay, then I've already presented my side about how I feel that I think that that's an absolutely terrible decision.
well, it's your opinion. And
I know,
here's why.
I'm saying, but that's the whole point of this.
Yeah,
None
yeah,
of us
I
is
know.
ever gonna get to the point, and you and I are two fucking stubborn son of a bitch. We're not gonna be like, okay, yeah, you're right. That's not gonna happen even if we know it.
Yeah,
So you're presenting your opinion. Your opinion is, even if you go into debt, a lot of money, that even if you're getting education that's not necessarily going to be able to pay back your student loans, if you're getting an experience that's making you mature or become more of an adult, that it's worth that.
correct.
And I say no. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. We're getting kind of long here. So, is there any? I'll let you go first, and I won't say a fucking word if you want to make closing
remarks.
points.
Yeah, here's my overall opinion here. College is all about what you make of it, all right? And going to college is going to enable the majority of immature 18-year-olds the 4 years to either create bonds, to network, to manage their time, to figure out what they do well, to figure out what they don't do well, and to figure out what they want. Okay? And the majority of 18-year-olds don't know any of that coming out of high school. Going into debt, however you want to look at it. You can look at it as going to debt, or you can look at it as an investment. Because the majority of people look at it as an investment. And that's, I think, where the biggest thing in your opinion is wrong, is you view it as a deficit. And yeah, it's a financial deficit, but for somebody who invests in everything in their life, a majority of people view it as an investment. And I view it as an investment in my 4 years of time. And that's where my opinion stands.
Okay, I'll start by just responding to your last point. You were criticizing me earlier for looking at it as an investment and just caring about the money side of things. From looking at it strictly from an investment standpoint, going $200,000 into debt, that does not guarantee or even necessarily give you a really good chance of getting something that's going to pay you back or get a return is a terrible investment.
Yeah, but that's intangible.
That's a terrible investment. Okay? So what you're really saying at the end of the day, and I think it's, and I'm not trying to speak for you, a better way to sum it up would be you're gonna pay $200,000, you're gonna buy an experience basically. And it's not necessarily that you're gonna recoup that money or get a return on it, but you're saying really spending the $200,000 going in debt is really worth that time. Okay, so that's a better way of saying it. But that's not really an investment. You're buying a good that you're not, an investment is something that you expect to get a return on.
Yeah, you're returning.
But you're not getting a return.
Yeah, you are. You're just looking at it a different way than I am. I'm investing
so,
4
but not
years.
You're not talking financially.
I'm in everything. I'm talking about it is a 4-year investment of money, of time, of everything that I am investing, that I am expecting a positive return of a positive experience in my life. I'm not looking for a fucking 150K salary return. I mean, I want that, but the return is everything you get out of the 4-year box of college. You invest money, you invest time, you invest emotion, you invest fucking up and doing things right. Everything is the investment, and your return is the rest of your life and what you get from those 4 years.
Okay.
I will let you speak.
All right.
Speak.
So I started to talk about this a little bit earlier, and I didn't really finish because we started going back and forth. But just to sum that up, to speak for me personally, what I said was I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I also didn't want to have the huge financial swings. I wanted to be able to create a more sustainable environment for my future family, even just for myself. And I thought that the best way to accomplish that would be to go to school. And like I said earlier, if I was really smart at the time, it would have made more sense for me to go to a school that was not going to put me in debt. And while being at school, working on my entrepreneurial ventures, starting my businesses, working for companies that taught me skill set to be able to then, because I think that is an extremely valuable thing that a lot of people who say they want to be entrepreneurs don't realize, is they say, oh, that guy has a job, a 9 to 5, he's not necessarily an entrepreneur. A lot of times the best education you can get to end up starting your own business is working for another business that's related or has certain skill sets that will teach you to be able to then apply to your own business later on. So I was, thankfully, my dad taught me that. I realized some of that on my own. I knew that I would benefit from going to school, having that fallback plan, working some 9 to 5 jobs, learning skill sets from those, building relationships from those, and then doing my own thing. 3 years down the road, like I said earlier, it turns out that it made more financial sense for me to drop out, and so I did. But do I regret to this day going into the initial debt that I did, because I paid probably $120,000 to $150,000 to go to school for 3 years that I didn't get a degree out of. I didn't get anything out of it. I had fun, but I also have had a fuck ton of fun since I dropped out of school and have been making money. I've had more fun. Like, did I have more, irresponsible, like I'm gonna drink on a Tuesday night and hang out with the boys type deal fun? Like, that's one kind of fun. And then there's also the fun where I can afford to go travel to the other side of the world for 8 days and turn my phone off.
That's just growing up.
Exactly.
That's just growing up.
And I think that looking at the big picture now, that I wish I would not have done that. I wish that I would have put my head down and done it a different way. But that no one can go back and change anything. I'm just speaking from my experience, okay? So I just wanted to clear that part out. Now, just finalize everything, what I've been trying to say to make my final points. If you are 18, fuck that. If you are 15 or 16, or you know what, it doesn't matter what age you are, okay? You're at the point where you're thinking about going to college. Doesn't matter how old you are, okay? You need to think about what you want. What are you trying to do big picture, thinking long term, not just right now. What are you really wanting to do big picture? So that's number one. once you determine that, is college going to be how you get there? Is that how you're going to become a surgeon? Yes, go to college. Okay? So now if that's what you're going to do, figure out how to get grants, figure out how to get scholarships, go to an in-state school, do whatever you can to still do what you have to do to earn those credentials to become what you want to do, but do it by accumulating the least amount of debt as possible. Now let's speak to another side, because we both know a lot of people that are this way, even right now. We're 26. Most people are 4 years out of college at 26, and they still don't know what the fuck they want to do. Right? Fair. They went to school for 4 years, and they still don't know, and they're in debt right now, and they're 4 years down the road at a bullshit job that their credentials got them, that now they're realizing it's not paying off my debt, I'm not happy and fulfilled, and I still don't know what I'm going to do. But let me finish. You got to have your closing points. If you want to talk again after this, you can. So, if you don't know what you want to do, then I don't think it makes sense to spend $200,000 hoping that that's going to help you learn what you want to do. I think that if you don't know what you want to do, you should do different things. Go to an in-state school, go to community college, go travel, work a job at a corporation that you enjoy. Do different things. Surround yourself with people that are positive, that are going to teach you things. There are so many things that you can do outside of the system that everyone's supposed to play in now today that's not going to put you in a severe amount of debt. Okay? So, step 1, to recap. Figure out what you want. 2, once you know what you want, then take the best and most efficient route towards that. And if you don't know what you want, don't go into debt trying to figure it out. And finally, and last, and I'll shut up after this, and if you want to say anything else, you can. Number 3, for what you and I were speaking about earlier, when it comes to, even just technology today, the responsibilities that come with that, think long term. That's so important. I'm still young, and I'm still making mistakes and learning from my mistakes, thankfully, but I catch myself thinking short term. Now, that doesn't mean you should live to, you always hear this, you never know how much time you live life to the fullest, like it's your last day. There's something to that, but you also can't be irresponsible. You still need to be thinking and planning like there is a long term, right? But when I hear people say live today to the fullest, what that means to me now, as I've matured some, is that I think of it as be thankful. Be as grateful as you possibly can for whatever situation right now. Even if you're in the grind mode, even if you're in the shit, the dirt, the hard part of life, be thankful for today and do what you were supposed to do today to plan for your future, but don't always be like, oh, I'm going to be miserable right now so that hopefully one day in the future I'm happy. Learn how to be happy right now while you're doing the shit that you don't want to do so that you can have this payoff in the future. There's power in that. Like if you're working a job that you don't necessarily like, so that way you can get a different job at Hope or get a promotion, or you're funding your startup that you're doing at night and you fucking hate going to that job, try something different. Tomorrow, you don't even necessarily have to quit or try a different job. Tomorrow when you go into work, when you're in the car or on the subway or however the fuck you get to work, think about, instead of dreading what I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna be thankful that I have this opportunity today and that I know that I'm working towards something. And that if you can think that way, then even if you're in that mode right now, or you're in the phase where you don't know what you want to do, you're not going to be as stressed about it. You're not going to feel like you're failing. You're knowing yourself. You're realizing your situation. You make the most of it. And then when people say, oh, live life to the fullest, that doesn't mean go spend all your fucking money and party your ass off. That means be thankful, be responsible, realize everything that you have at your fingertips, everything that's going on right now, but still do everything you can to take a step forward today, and then take another one the next day, and another one the next day, towards the future that you want to build. And I don't think going $200,000 in debt is the answer.
I think you made a very good point. And I just want to leave with this because this is something that everybody can take away. You made that comment as a seasoned 26-year-old male that has lived a life with many experiences. You came to that realization. Let me educate you on something. I looked it up. I listened to a podcast a while back. His name is Dr. Robert Sapolsky. He's a neurologist. And the majority of the podcast is about him talking about monkeys and development. But he talked a lot about our development as human beings. And our frontal cortex is something that doesn't fully develop until we are 25 years old. So we are half-baked as humans, developmentally, until we are 25 years old. And your frontal cortex is what is in charge of gathering all the experiences that you've had, synthesizing them, and being able to make a smart, educated decision on everything that you've gone through. Okay, so we are not to that point. We just got fully developed.
Okay.
My point with that is, at 18 years old, not only are you not developed in your frontal cortex mentally, but you do not have the capacity to even come to the realization or come to the conclusion that you just did. And all I want to say is that at 18, if you find a gifted kid that knows what they want and can develop into what they want, I respect them and I want them to forget the structure. Because that is the people that they don't need it.
So what that
But
guy?
the majority of kids, they need time to develop. They need experiences to be had. It could be, and I'm not even going down, the topic. I'm saying whether it's traveling, whether it's working, whether it's going to college, whether it's busting their ass at McDonald's to help their family.
Mm-hmm. I haven't listened to that podcast, but I was aware of that stat. I've heard that many times, that your brain is not fully developed, matured until you're 25. Okay. Now I feel like it just proved my point, and here's why. If you're not even at the point yet until you're 25 years old to really be fully matured and make these decisions that you now can make when you're 25 or 26, why would you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars going into debt during a time that you aren't even fully developed yet? So then when you are fully developed and smart enough to know what you want to do, you're not starting at a deficit of $200,000.
Because you just proved my point.
No.
My point when I closed was I view that 4 years and that money that I spend as a valuable investment of my time, my money, and my experience.
But you don't have to go into debt to get that.
But you are so focused on the money.
But
it is not just about the money, dude.
We're not gonna. This is.
It
We're
is
at the
not
point
about
now.
the money.
We both presented our side.
It is.
I think everyone knows where each of us stand.
That was all I just wanted to say, though.
Okay.
It's a true fact. It was a good podcast.
Yeah.
And
I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's a very controversial topic, but it hits home for a lot of people, and that's why we wanted to discuss it. Whether you're getting ready to go to school, you're in school, or you went to school and now you're fucked because you're in tons of debt. We're gonna wrap it here. Thank you guys for listening. We don't ask for much, but we do ask that you will subscribe to the podcast and give it a heart. I think was what it is on iTunes. And also, if you go check it out on YouTube, check out our social channels, tell your friends about this. If you learned something, if you think that there's something that we talked about that could benefit them, then share it with them.
I also speak
if you try to argue this,
no. I also speak for both of us in saying that we are open. We're gonna open the doors for comments, but mainly we want to hear topics that you guys want to hear.
On the YouTube video, leave a comment about topics that you'd like to hear us discuss. We still have a large pipeline of things we want to talk about.
Yeah.
But also talking about things that people, speak out and want to hear about. I think that that's really important. So let's wrap it. Let's call it a night.
Adios.
Goodbye.
Kane is in the building.